Hello, friends. My name is Dr. Nathaniel Sawyer, and I have more than 15 years of experience in consulting, government, and lecturing. Today, I'll be taking you through the series which we started a few weeks ago, Understanding the EXA Outcome. Our focus in this episode will be on Group D for Professional Technician. Just a disclaimer, the presentation is not on behalf of EXA. However, it is a presentation based on my knowledge, experience, and research of the registration process. The information provided in this presentation is based on the EXA official competency standard. However, candidates should ensure that their submission aligns with EXA guidelines and best practice. This documentation serves as a guide and should be used alongside with official EXA documentation for a comprehensive understanding of the competency requirement. Understanding the EXA Outcome Group D. The presentation provides an in-depth understanding of EXA registration requirement for professional engineering technician. It's aligned with EXA competency standard R02 and focus on the essential engineering outcome that defines professional competency. The objective of this presentation is to guide candidates in demonstrating competency in managing engineering activity and effectively communicating technical information in line with the prescribed outcome. The objective of this presentation is to provide a comprehensive understanding of the registration requirement for professional engineering technician and is to guide candidates in demonstrating competency in ethical conduct, outcome 8, demonstrate competency in sound judgment, outcome 9, and be responsible for decision making, which is outcome 10. Now, let's look at outcome 8, conduct engineering activity ethically in executing your work. In terms of outcome 8, it's divided into several outcomes, which is outcome 8.1 states how you identify ethical issues and affected parties and their interest and what you did about it when the problem arose. What is the expectation in terms of this outcome? The applicant must provide sufficient and specific example of how they identified ethical dilemma in their engineering work. This should involve recognizing conflict of interest, safety concern, and environmental impact that may arise in their engineering work. Identify all affected parties, including stakeholders such as clients, the public, contractor, and colleagues. Explain how the interests of the affected parties were considered while aligning with ethical principle. Describe the action they took to resolve ethical issues, ensuring compliance with professional standards and maintaining integrity. Additionally, in compliance with EXA Code of Conduct. Now, in terms of the example, what are the things that you should consider when presenting competency in this outcome? Number one, safety. If you discovered that a substandard material was being used in construction, you might have addressed this issue by reporting it to the project manager and insisting on a corrective action to ensure safety and compliance. Number two, conflict of interest. If you were asked to approve a design for a project involving a relative's company, you must have declared the conflict and require to step aside to maintain fairness and objectivity. Environmental impact. In a project where the design could harm the local ecosystem, you might have advocated for a sustainable alternative, consulting environmental aspects, and also communicating transparently with stakeholders. Now, how do you capture competency to demonstrate that you have met this outcome? I will use this example of a sewer upgrade project. During the municipal sewer upgrade project, I identified an ethical issue where a contractor proposed using substandard material to save costs. Recognizing the potential safety risk and long-term maintenance problem, I flagged this concern during a site meeting. The affected parties included the municipality as a client, the local community relying on the infrastructure, and the contractor whose financial interests were at stake. To solve the issue, I conducted an independent assessment of the material and demonstrated that they didn't meet the project specification or safety standard. I communicated the finding transparently to the client and emphasized the potential failure risk and regulatory non-compliance. I collaborated with the contractor to find a compliance, cost-effective solution that preserved safety concern and is cost-effective. This action demonstrated my commitment to maintaining public safety and adhering to ethical principles, even when facing pressure to reduce cost. So here you have a situation where a contractor was trying to save cost. So you, as the resident engineer or the person that is supposed to approve the work, it was brought to your attention or you discovered this problem and you had to then bring it to the attention of the client, bring it to the attention of the project manager, and bring it also to the attention of the contractor that you are not going to accept this material. If they are looking for an alternative, it should be a material that is cost effective and meets the specification which was outlined in the document. Now, let's look at outcome 8.2. You are expected to confirm that you are conversant and in compliance with EXA Code of Conduct and why this is important in your work. What is the expectation? The applicant must confirm their understanding and adherence to EXA Code of Conduct, which sets the ethical and professional standard for engineers. You should explain the significance of the code of conduct in your work, such as promoting trust, ensuring public safety, and maintaining professionalism. You should provide example where you adhere to the code of conduct that guided your decision making. Now, there are certain things you need to consider for you to select demonstrating competency in this outcome. Number one, transparency. You should ensure that all the project reports are accurate. Show how you practice transparency by providing an example where you ensure that all project reports were accurate and free from bias, even when pressured to manipulate data for the client's satisfaction. Public interest. You should show how you prioritize the public interest or public safety by rejecting designs that do not meet regulatory standards, even under tight deadline. Number three, professionalism. Respecting intellectual property rights by properly crediting contribution from colleagues and avoiding plagiarism in project documentation. Now, how do you demonstrate competency to outcome 8.2? Using an example. Throughout my career, I have constantly adhered to the principle outlined in the EXA Code of Conduct. One notable example occurred during a water pipeline project. A colleague proposed approving design calculation that had not been independently verified due to time constraint. While this would have expedited the project, it posed a risk of inaccuracy that could lead to costly redesign and operational failure. In compliance with EXA guideline, I emphasize the importance of ensuring accuracy and accountability in all engineering work. I insisted on conducting a thorough review of the calculation, even though this delayed the project timeline slightly. By doing so, I demonstrated my commitment to maintaining public trust, prioritizing safety, and upholding professional integrity. This decision not only reinforced the project credibility, but also set an example for my colleague about the value of ethical engineering practice. So here you had a situation where you were asked to approve calculation without actually verifying. You refused to do that because you wanted to show the importance or to demonstrate competency in the EXA code of conduct in your work. Now, the importance of ethics in engineering cannot be overstated. Ethical conduct ensure public safety, environmental sustainability, and professional integrity are preserved, fostering trust in the engineering profession. Adhering to EXA code of conduct helped maintain high standard, promote transparency, and ensure that decisions are made in the best interest of society as a whole. So you were making sure that you demonstrate competency in conducting yourself according to the code of conduct. This is how you demonstrate competency in this outcome. Now, let's move to outcome 9. Outcome 9 talks about exercise sound judgment in the course of well-defined engineering activity encountered in your work. Under outcome 9, we have 9.1, which requires you to state factors applicable to the work, their interrelationship, and how you apply the most important factors. You are expected to clearly identify key factors. What are the key factors that assisted you to exercise sound judgment? And how did you apply sound judgment in terms of demonstrating competency in that? These may include technical, environmental, economical, safety, regulatory, and stakeholder relation factors. These are the factors that helps you to demonstrate sound judgment in terms of your well-defined engineering encounters. Describe the relationship between these factors and how one influences or depends on the other. You are expected to provide specific example on how you prioritize and applied these factors in your work to reach sound engineering decision. Now, let's look at an example in the context of a project. For example, in the design of a water pipeline, factors such as pipe material selection, costs, terrain, hydraulic efficiency, and maintenance requirements were considered. In terms of the design of a water pipeline, you looked at the cost, which is economics. You look at the terrain, which is technical. You look at the hydraulic, which is technical. You look at maintenance in terms of maintenance, which is also technical and both cost. In terms of interrelationship, the terrain influenced the pipe material because certain material perform better in rocky area. Cost consideration balanced against the need for hydraulic efficiency, ensuring that the design was both feasible and cost effective. So you look at both the cost and the technical. In terms of technically, how does it perform? How does this material perform technically? In terms of the cost, is this material a cost effective? You need to have a metric to be able to measure both the technical, environmental, social, and economical, which is cost. Now, in terms of an example, during the design of a water pipeline for residential area, I consider several factors, including hydraulic efficiency, pipe material, cost, and environmental impact. The interrelationship between cost and durability was a key factor, as selecting a more expensive HDPE pipe offered better flexibility and resistance to corrosion, which was crucial in the challenging terrain. Resistance, flexibility was crucial. As much as this material is expensive compared to the other one, you looked at the most effective solution, which was HDPE, because in terms of durability, it gives the best durability. In terms of flexibility, it was the best option for that kind of terrain. As much as it is expensive, it was the best solution. I demonstrated sound judgment in prioritizing durability and operational efficiency over a short-term saving. Why HDPE were more expensive than PVC pipes? They offer a greater flexibility and resistance to corrosion. So these aligned with the environmental and maintenance consideration. In terms of ensuring that you choose the best solution, you looked at what offered the best solution for you. The ultimate HDPE pipe were selected to ensure that the system resilience and reliability, balancing technical, economical, and environmental demand effectively. So that was the best solution. Though it was expensive, however, it was the best decision that you took in demonstrating sound judgment. Now, let's look at 9.2. 9.2 says, describe how you foresaw work consequences and evaluated situation in the absence of full evidence. So you are faced with a situation where you have to demonstrate sound judgment and you don't have the full picture. You don't have the full information. How would you be able to make that sound judgment? What is expected of you here? Demonstrate how you anticipated potential outcome of your engineering decision, even when all the data or evidence was not available. Explain the use of assumption, risk association, risk assessment, engineering principle, and judgment to fill in the gap in information. Highlights how you evaluated trade-off against mitigating risk or plan for contingencies to address an uncertainty information. Now, let's use an example, a practical example for you to be able to demonstrate how do you present it, that this is how I exercise sound judgment. During the rehabilitation of a road, a full geotechnical data of the subgrade was unavailable due to budget constraint. These pose a significant challenge as the subgrade condition was critical for determining the road's structural design. To address these, I applied engineering judgment and made assumptions based on the soil type in nearby areas where similar topography. These assumptions were conservative to account for potential variation in soil strength. Additionally, I conducted visual inspection of the road alignment and used limited soil test data from accessible section to refine my assumption. To mitigate risk associated with potential weak subgrade section, I recommended the addition of a subbase layer in areas where the risk was the highest. This approach ensured that the road would perform adequately even under heavy loading. I was able to deliver a robust design solution despite the absence of complete evidence. This foresight ensured that the project succeeds while adhering to budget constraints and resource limitation. So you didn't have all the information for this road. You therefore went to look at available information for nearby areas within the project parameter for you to be able to make an informed decision based on the available information. Now, let's move to outcome 10. Outcome 10 says be responsible for making decisions on part or all of a well-defined engineering activity included in your work. In terms of outcome 10.1, it says show how you use your national diploma theoretical calculation to justify decision taken in doing engineering work. You are expected to include calculations here. What is the expectation? The applicant should demonstrate how they apply theoretical knowledge gained during their national diploma studies to make informed decisions in real-life engineering projects. You should include calculation to support your decision process. Ensure that you include all engineering calculation which aligns with engineering principles and standards. Now, in terms of an example, in the project involving the design of a water distribution pipeline for a residential area, I applied theoretical knowledge from my national diploma. Which module did you use? How did that module help you to be able to solve this problem? I applied theoretical knowledge from my national diploma to make critical design decision. For instance, the determination of the pipe diameter. What did you use? Which equation did you use? Why did that information help you to be able to determine the pipe diameter? There are various ways you could have actually calculated it, but you decided to use the theoretical knowledge in terms of the use of Darcy-Weisbach equation to calculate pressure loss along the pipeline, considering factors such as flow rate, pipe material, roughness coefficients. The calculation revealed that this diameter would be suitable compared to this diameter. This material type would be suitable compared to that material type. Additionally, I validated my calculation using software tools to ensure accuracy. By incorporating theoretical principle, I justified the decision to select a cost-effective pipe that adhered to both hydraulic requirements and project budget constraints. You are expected to include the calculation. What calculation did you perform? You are not expected to include all the calculation, but show a sample calculation to demonstrate that you actually performed the calculation. Now, let's move to outcome 10.2. State how you took responsible advice on matters falling outside your own education and experience. Here, what is expected of you? The applicant should describe situation where they identified gap in their own knowledge or experience and sought advice or guidance from more experienced engineer, consultant, or specialist. You are supposed to highlight the responsibility and ethical decision you took to seek guidance to ensure that the project is successful and is safe. During the design of a pipeline project, I encountered a challenge relating to the soil stability in an area where high water table was visible. Recognizing that this issue was beyond my expertise, I sought advice from a geotechnical engineer to evaluate the soil condition and provide recommendation for pipe bedding and backfilling. The geotechnical report suggested using granular material for bedding to ensure proper support and drainage, preventing potential pipe settlement or failure. By consulting an expert, I ensured that the design was structurally sound, complied with local requirements. This responsible approach not only safeguarded the project, but also highlighted the importance of acknowledging the limit of my knowledge and leveraging specialized advice to achieve the best outcome. Here you are faced with a situation you have never encountered. You don't know what to do. You then requested the support from a geotechnical engineer who has knowledge of material, who has knowledge on how to deal with such situation. Using their recommendation, you then were able to proceed with designing the pipe bedding, designing backfilling material for you to be able to achieve or deliver the best outcome of the project. Now, let's move to outcome 10.3. Describe how you took responsibility for your work, for your own work, and evaluating any shortcoming in your output. What is expected of you to demonstrate competency here? The applicant should provide examples of how they took ownership of their work, especially in situations involving errors, oversight, or areas of improvement. Describe how you reflect on shortcoming, implemented a corrective action, and learn from the experience to avoid similar issue in the future. Now, how do you demonstrate competency in this outcome? In another project involving the design of a reinforced concrete beam, for example, for a commercial building, I discovered during the review process that I had underestimated the live load on the structure. This oversight resulted in an incorrect reinforcement, which, if implemented, could have compromised the beam performance. Upon identifying the area, I immediately informed the project team and recalculating the reinforcement requirement based on the correct loading assumption. To prevent similar error in the future, I implemented a personal checklist for design verification and sought additional training in load analysis. This experience taught me the value of accountability, proactive problem solving, and continuous improvement. By addressing the shortcoming head on, taking corrective action, I demonstrated my commitment to delivering high quality, safe, and reliable engineering solution. So, you had a situation where you had made some errors in your design. So how do you demonstrate that you address the challenge that you encountered? How did you make sure that such situation does not happen again in the future? In terms of putting safeguarding system, in terms of making sure that you have checklists, making sure that your work is independently reviewed by someone else for you to be able to achieve or minimize such errors in the future, and also go and obtain necessary training for you to be able to perform effectively. In conclusion, what are the key takeaways here? This presentation highlighted the core competency requirement for EXA registration. It focused on ethical conduct, sound judgment, and responsible decision-making, while maintaining professionalism, integrity, and accountability at all times. This brings us to the end of this episode. If you want to contact us for more support or guidance, you can reach us on our YouTube channel on Bridge the Gap Engineer, or email us at admin@btge.co.za, or contact us on various platforms like LinkedIn, Dr. Nathaniel Sawyer, or Facebook, Nathaniel Sawyer, or reach us on our website as shown on the screen. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Please like, share, and distribute to others who might find this very helpful. Thank you very much. See you in the next episode. Thank you.